What's up, guys? Kodak here, and we are back with another movie review. As you can see, I have a very special guest with me today. My good friend Phillip is here, and we're going to take a look at, review, and discuss our favorite DCEU film, Man of Steel. Now, Man of Steel stars Henry Cavill, Michael Shannon, Lawrence Fishburne, Russell Crowe, and Amy Adams.
Yes.
And directed by Zack Snyder. And the reason we're doing this review is because, lo and behold, we're getting the Snyder Cut.
Thank God.
Finally, the fans have spoken, and we're getting it. And I'm excited. Let's just leave it at that. But so we're going to discuss Man of Steel today because of that. So
I was one of those fans, by the way. I
yes,
signed many online petitions.
You were a huge advocate for the Snyder Cut. But Man of Steel, first and foremost, I'm going to go ahead and say that I love this film. When it first came out, there were a lot of mixed reception about it.
Yeah, it was pretty mixed.
And but for my part, I think the film's great. I think the serious tone really does it for me. You know,
it's your first realistic take on Man of Steel, Superman.
Exactly, and I'm not, and this is my personal opinion. I think Henry Cavill is probably the best Superman. Honestly, I know that's going to get a lot of hate, but you know, it's just my opinion. That's not to say that Christopher Reeve isn't a bad Superman at all. I mean, he's a great Superman. But my personal favorite is Henry, and I'd really like to see more of him.
He was great. I love you get to see Superman's it's more of an origin backstory. I loved the beginning, the opening shots with Krypton and Jor-El, and you get to see young Zod. That's the Superman that I've been waiting my entire life for.
Yes. One of the big criticisms of that film was that there was so much destruction in the film, and how, you know, spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen it, but you should have already seen this film.
Absolutely.
The very end, you know, he kills Zod, which a lot of people did not like that.
I never understood that. I mean, even the diehard Christopher Reeve fans, if you watch the end of Superman 2, you see Superman doesn't break his neck, but he renders him powerless and drops him into a pit.
Exactly.
So there's a good chance that Zod died in that as well, but they did it in such a campy tone that fans were cool with it.
Exactly. And I think that's why a lot more fans back that up more than the Man of Steel scene.
Over time, though, I feel that more fans have came around to Henry's Superman and Zack Snyder's Superman. I just feel like when it came out, it was just kind of a shell shock. We hadn't had a Superman movie in a while before that, and the one before that even had a negative reception.
Yes. And I'll be the first one to admit right now that Superman is not my favorite superhero by any means. I don't even know if I would put him in top 10 for me personally. But when Man of Steel came out, man, that just changed the game.
It did. I love Zack Snyder's cinematography. I love his whole scope. He intended to make a entire universe. Warner Brothers was at the helm of that and rushed him and did not let him complete his mission. There was a lot of studio interference with his sequel, Batman vs. Superman, as we all know, and I really couldn't be happier that since AT&T has bought Warner Brothers that they're listening to the fans.
Yes. And I think that's what's needed. You know, obviously, the directors and the writers should have, you know, their own sense of freedom when it comes to writing a script and directing a movie and all that. But you also need to take in fan interactions and you know, opinions and such from fans to help out, because without the fans, none of this would be possible.
That's true. Also, I feel that DC has been unfairly criticized for Marvel fans. They wanted another Marvel, and I loved that DC was an alternative to Marvel.
Right.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Marvel films; they're great.
No, yeah, absolutely.
But I love, as a comic book fan, as a diehard DC fan, I loved the serious tone, the serious nature,
Yes.
the based in reality version, the bare bones Superman. Henry still, I mean, he's still not even getting his sequel, you know.
Right.
As of now, I hope that changes, but I would love to see a Man of Steel 2, Man of Tomorrow.
Yes, and that's the thing, is that fans want it. It's we've been asking for it forever now. Like,
Begging.
I mean, literally begging, and I don't understand why the studio won't just greenlight it. I keep reading, I don't know if they're rumors or what, but I keep seeing that Warner Brothers wants to do, Harley Quinn stuff, and, they just want to focus on the Batman-esque of DC, and they need to branch out.
They do. I think that there are so many other characters that fans like myself would love to see. Like, I would love a Martian Manhunter spinoff.
Yeah.
From the Snyder Cut. I'm a big fan of the Martian Manhunter, and I feel that not enough people know who he is. And as you mentioned, when Man of Steel came out, that fight scene at the end with Zod, fans were outraged by all the death,
Exactly.
the destruction. But you have to understand, when you watch that movie, you were watching chapter 1 of Zack Snyder's vision.
Yes.
As you saw in Batman vs. Superman, the opening scene, what did you see? You saw that from Bruce Wayne's perspective. You saw the destruction. You saw the death. You saw the outrage. People just were too quick to jump on the hate train.
And I remember this vividly when Man of Steel. I can't remember if it just came out or if it had been out a while, but we were talking about it, and you said that people were complaining about all the destruction and stuff. And I remember you said this, and I thought it was really good, that there are going to be casualties in an alien invasion.
Absolutely. I mean, it was realistic. We'll look at the Avengers. Yeah, you did see the Avengers save people when they could, but just because you saw those few people being saved, do you really think that the entire set of people, where was that? In New York?
Yeah.
I mean, do you really think that New York could just empty out that quickly?
Right, yeah. And we're not even saying that Avengers is bad.
It's not. I loved it.
I love Avengers. I think it's a great film.
But unfairly criticized.
Yes.
DC gets so much hate from Marvel fans, whereas I'm a fan of both.
Yes, I am too.
I'm DC through and through, but I love them both.
Yes.
I grew up watching these characters, reading their books, and I want fans to enjoy them, because once they're gone, they're gone.
Yeah.
Christopher Reeve is thought of as one of the most beloved people of all time, and he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like people are really missing out on what DC has to offer.
Exactly. To get back on Man of Steel, everybody in this film does a great job in their, in the roles that they're in. I felt like
I loved it.
Amy Adams did an amazing job. She's a great Lois. Not sure how I could see in that role besides her, because we've grown accustomed to that. I'm sure you have your own version. Or
fun fact: Amy Adams, as well as Henry Cavill, both auditioned for Superman Returns.
Oh, for real?
Yes, yes.
I didn't even know that.
She auditioned for Lois Lane. Henry Cavill for Superman. He was actually in the top 2 choices.
Oh, wow.
They went with Brandon Routh because he resembled Christopher Reeve.
And of course, we can't forget Michael Shannon as General Zod. I mean,
Amazing.
absolutely breathtaking in my opinion.
To date, the best DC villain in the extended universe.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to agree with that. I mean, he just leaps and bounds, does an amazing job. He makes you feel, threatened, and he brings like a certain tenacity to the role that, you in these past DC movies that just don't really live up to him. And I'm not saying that we've got bad villains since his. It's just his is here and theirs are here.
He's definitely on par with Heath Ledger's Joker, Tom Hardy's Bane. He is that good. He's in that league, and it's hard to match, especially when you're using CGI villains like Steppenwolf. Michael Shannon is a phenomenal actor. He does a great job. He's a great character actor. He has such a range.
Yes,
and
for sure.
I will watch a movie just because he is in it.
Yes. I mean, I've got a tattoo right here of the Zod, of their logo. So that just goes to show you. Yes. Great job. Great job. Also, Diane Lane and Kevin Costner are both in the film, and they play as Ma and Pa Kent.
Martha and Jonathan.
And I gotta say, whenever we get to that scene and with Kevin Costner and the tornado, I get kind of choked up.
Got me in the theaters. I watched it 3 times in theaters. Got me all 3 times.
I mean, it's such a powerful scene because, Jonathan doesn't want Superman to reveal himself yet, and he ends up losing his life over the fact. I mean, that's a pretty big sacrifice.
It's the ultimate sacrifice. At the time, Clark Kent was roughly 17 years old.
Yeah.
He hadn't discovered his full potential yet, and Jonathan Kent realized that, and he knew that Clark was destined for greater things, and he died for his son, essentially, because he didn't know that Clark Kent was going to be nearly indestructible. He didn't know how the world would react to Superman, and Clark Kent was not ready to be Superman.
And then his mother, Diane Lane, who plays Martha, she does such a great job at playing that motherly figure that, everyone needs in their life. And
she was pivotal in the nurturing scenes with Clark when he was a child in school, and he didn't know what was wrong with him and why he was different. They didn't know why he was different. They couldn't feel what he felt, but they knew that they needed to be there for their son. And it was important to them to send him to public school and let him experience what it is to be human, because humans can be cruel, especially
absolutely.
Kids.
Yes, absolutely.
And he needed to experience that to have his humanity as he became an adult.
Yeah, for sure. Also, one of the best parts of this film, in my opinion, is the opening, really, with Russell Crowe as Jor-El, and we're on Krypton, and we see what Krypton looks like. We get a huge battle scene.
When the movie opened, I was just stunned that Zack Snyder, he went full sail. This is Krypton, and it was phenomenal. Russell Crowe was a great choice for Jor-El.
I agree.
He's a phenomenal actor. He's great in everything that he does. He played off of Michael Shannon very well.
Yes. I thought those two were, a great, how should I put this, like a yin and a yang type effect.
Yes.
Where they just, like you said, they both played off each other's characters so well, and it made you believe that they once really had a true bond together, and then it just got shattered.
They had a mutual respect, and I thought that Zack Snyder did a great job explaining how Krypton, there were no natural births. Everyone was created for a purpose. Kal-El was special. He was the first natural birth in centuries.
Yes.
He was that hope for their race. Jor-El recognized that they were coming to an end, and they self-destructed, much like you could say the human race is self-destructing.
Yeah.
We were destroying the earth, and it's not slowing down.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's definitely scary to think about how when you watch something on film and you're like, man, that could actually happen maybe one day.
It could.
One of the reasons why I love it so much is because we see how human that Clark Kent can be. Like, when you think of Superman, you automatically think of like invincibility, can do it all. You know, nothing can hurt him, obviously, except for a rock. And you really see how human he can be, and that's one of the reasons why I think it's so high up there for me. The Dark Knight trilogy, I believe, just ended,
Mm-hmm.
and Man of Steel came out the following year,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sure I'm not the only one who thought this, but we didn't know where this was going to stand in terms of like a DC universe. Like I personally thought that, hey, this might be part of Nolan's verse.
Well, I was one of the fans that was constantly checking the internet for updates. I did know that it was going to be a separate universe, but when the news after Man of Steel, the next movie was going to be Batman versus Superman, I was shocked. I did not know that they were going to go from Man of Steel, the best Superman movie to date, in my opinion, to a shared universe with Batman.
Right.
So that was a definite shock, and I was one of the outraged fans that was not happy with the casting of Batman. But Ben Affleck, if you're watching, you killed it, and I love you. You're my favorite Batman.
I will agree. He did do a great job. And I was also one of those fans. I was like, really? But yeah, he Ben, he did kill it. So, and I will commend him on that.
It's good to be wrong. I mean, I just love DC films, and I hate that outraged fans and studio interference came in the way of Zack Snyder's vision.
Yeah.
Because if you haven't seen the ultimate cut of Batman vs. Superman, it's a much better version of the film, and you should give it another look. A lot of people are upset that, oh, Batman kills. Well, you also have to understand that Batman has killed in the past, and this was a end of the road, lost faith in humanity version of Batman.
Right.
And it took Superman's humanity to make him realize that he was wrong. One of the few times Batman is wrong.
Yep.
As well. And just Zack Snyder's vision is unmatched. My only criticism for any Zack Snyder film, and I'm not a filmmaker, but I am a fan, and I love Zack Snyder's movies. I love his vision. I love his cinematography. The flaw that I have is he desaturates the color. He likes to shoot on film, which I'm fine with, but it's a very grainy
Yeah, I know what you're
image.
talking about.
We don't need such a dark noir version of every movie.
Right.
And I'm cool with, he started off that way because it was doom and gloom.
Yeah.
But as he moves his vision forward, hopefully his storytelling, it could work into the storytelling. Hey, there's hope.
Yeah.
There's going to be life. There's going to be color. It's going to pop.
I think one of the best representations of that from DC is probably Wonder Woman, because that movie is very colorful.
Aquaman as well.
And Aquaman, yes, Aquaman is super colorful, and I agree with you on that. I think if he could, I mean, I'm sure he knows by now, but if he could learn that, maybe adapt that into his films,
I would love to see that. I just want to see his vision come to life on screen. I want to see Zack Snyder's story. I loved his version of The Watchmen, another DC property.
Yeah.
I thought it was beautiful. The theatrical version as well. Warner Brothers. Hey, let's make that movie shorter. let's just splice this together and get it out there and make some money.
Yeah.
And that's just not how a studio should operate. And that's why you've seen some of Zack Snyder's films not make the money that a Marvel Disney will do, because they give their directors more creative freedom and they trust their directors. You hire the directors for that reason. They have a vision, they have a clear vision. Don't interrupt that.
Yeah.
Let the director impose his will on these characters, give them their take on these characters.
Right.
Because if you watch the director's cut of The Watchmen, just like the ultimate cut of Batman vs. Superman, it's a much better film.
Well, we've completely shifted from Man of Steel to just a huge DC rant review type
I
deal.
do apologize. This is my first review, but I'm a very passionate DC fan. And every point that I made about all the other DC films still relate to the Man of Steel movie.
Exactly, because that's pretty much where it all started. I mean, that's where we're at now. That's how we got here. If I could close out Man of Steel,
if you haven't watched it, definitely watch it.
Definitely it's worth a watch for sure. I mean, I watched it last week, and I tear up every time I watch it. Powerful scenes. There's amazing dialogue. I mean, anytime that Russell Crowe speaks in that film, I mean, it's just like a water fountain coming out of my eyes. He has such powerful quotes. It's just insane.
Yeah, you have to listen. I mean, the whole movie is that way. If you really just forget all the other movies you've seen, like forget the old Christopher Reeve movies and watch this movie for what it is. You don't have to like this movie better than the old Superman movies. You don't have to like this as much as a Marvel movie. I understand that fans have their pick, and if you just strip all that away and watch this for what it is, and I think that you would really enjoy it. I can't recommend it enough. It's probably one of my top 5 favorite films of all time.
I would definitely put this. I don't know about an all-time list. I would really have to think about that. But as far as like just the DCEU, it's easily my favorite.
The main focus of this video was to get fans interested, and I hope that after hearing what we have to say, that if you haven't seen it, you go back and watch it. If you watched it the first time, you didn't care for it, it's been a while, go back and watch it again. So just definitely give it a try. Support DC. I mean, it's fans like me, I mean, want to see those movies keep coming. I support Marvel.
Yeah.
I still watch Marvel movies. I'm happy for their fan base. I'm happy that the fans are happy. But those fans also need to understand that there are fans like myself that want an alternative. I don't want DC to become Marvel 2.0. I like the darker, grittier, more adult-themed films.
Yes, and I think that's what made the Nolanverse trilogy so great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you look at those films, and there's, I mean, maybe like 0.5% of comedy and silliness in them, you know?
Yeah,
and
that.
Yeah, and that's what really sells it for me. I mean, look at The Dark Knight, which I'm sure we'll get to in a review one day.
I sure hope so.
I mean, arguably the greatest comic book movie of all time. So, I think the DCEU deserves more love than what it gets. But guys, that is going to do it for us. Sorry this wasn't a more in-depth review of Man of Steel, but this is just two huge supporters and fans of the film, just talking about that and just DC in general. As a final rating for Man of Steel, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I think this movie, from beginning to end, is powerful, it's moving, it's spectacular, and overall I think it's a great film.
For me, if I was to give it an overall rating, I'm going to go with a 10. To me, it is on par with the Nolanverse. It is that good. I can watch this movie over and over, still get the same emotion that I felt the first time that I watched it. It's a very, like you said, it's a very powerful movie, and if you love these characters, you will love this film.
Well, guys, there you have it. Our review of Man of Steel. We will probably get to all the DCEU films, maybe all the DC films in general, because I mean he's a huge fan of DC.
I would love for you to have me back and do this again. This is my first one that I've ever done. I'm very appreciative of the opportunity to sit down and talk to you, one of my best friends, and I hope we can do this again.
Absolutely, man. And so, guys, thank you all for watching the video. Go follow me on Instagram. I post DC action figure photos there, as well as Marvel, Star Wars, a bunch of stuff. Terminator, Halloween, all that good stuff. So go check me out on there. Leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe if you want to. If you don't want to, it's cool, whatever. But guys, once again, thank you for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.